The President. Good morning. The Council now resumes on the motion debate on seizing the opportunities of accelerating the development of new quality productive forces in the country. Ms. Nixie Lam. Good morning, President. Now, we've often been saying that we are emerging from stability to prosperity. We have Industry 2.0 and new industrialization. So what should we do? In my perspective, to become an international I&T hub, the key is on nurturing our own new quality productive forces. Now, life and health technology, AI, data science, and so on. For these future industries, these will be the new growth drivers. Now, we have the strength of being backed by the country and connected with the world. We can leverage on our traditional strengths, combined with the innovative forces in the GBA, in bolstering our international financial center status. We need to align with the country's national strategy and promote the development of new quality productive forces. But we have to be innovative as well as patient. Now, at a work conference of the central ministries, there is the new concept of developing patient capital. That is about developing long-term strengths. Now, at this age and day where everything advances so quickly, we need to be patient. Patient capital will support the development of emerging industries. It is also the key drivers behind our new quality productive forces. Now, we are striving to develop the northern metropolis. Many people say it will take 5 to 10 years time before we have some initial results. And that will be another 2 or 3 years when we have the research results transformed into commercial products. Now, under the Raise Plus scheme, the government will support the commercialization of R&D outcomes. So with this, we can attract more investments into patient capital. Startups will be able to enjoy a stable environment in developing their technology. This will help them tide over their critical growth period and achieve results. Now, from our study visits to the 3 countries in the ASEAN, I saw how their decades of investments come to fruition. Now, they have developed a community combining living, working, leisure, and innovation. Talents were pulled together to help drive the transformation of their traditional economies. Now, land planning is also very important. Now, after leasing the sites to the corporations, they would communicate with the stakeholders to learn about how they would like to be supported in transforming their community and corporations. So the governments there have been pursuing transformation proactively. So we need to draw reference from the ASEAN countries. Now, I believe youth is the vital force driving new quality productive forces. So we need to change and be reformative in our education system. We need to align our education system with the need of our new and emerging industries so as to create a complete industry chain. So more support should be given to young people. Tax incentives and so on should be given to encourage young entrepreneurs to join the fray. We need high-quality youth talents so as to grasp the opportunities of accelerating the development of new quality productive forces. Thank you. Mr. Chen Yueheng. President, I speak in support of Mr. Gary Chan's motion. on seizing the opportunities of accelerating the development of new quality productive forces in the country and also the amendments. President Xi said in the delegation meeting with Jiangsu in March this year that we have to grasp the top priority of developing new quality productive forces with a local context. Now, for the first time, this has been written into the work reports of the governments this year. It is the first major task. We need to strive to modernize the industrial system and develop new quality productive forces at a faster pace. This is the direction we should follow. This will bring about new impetus. Now, we'd like to focus on low-altitude economy. Now, in the coming few years, we will have we will be investing some $300 billion into construction projects. The construction industry must make use of technology to address the issues of the aging population, poor worksite safety, and low efficiency. Now, in the construction context, we need to adopt new quality productive forces to intelligentize our construction industry and transform it towards a green industry. Now, in the mainland, the country has been advocating modular construction method, for example, CIC and also other modular methods. Now, by adopting information simulation system and also smart site safety management system, as well as 3D printing and also robots in construction, it has made the projects more safe and efficient. The construction industry has moved away from the traditionally low efficient environments. Now, however, adoption of technology would bring about cost pressure for smaller developers. Now, the construction industry technology fund is very useful in this regard. We should invest more in it. President, the characteristic of new quality productive forces is quality forces driven by new technology. Now, low-altitude economy has great potential. Now, according to the government's work reports last year, low-altitude economy would be a new industry. Shanghai, Jiangsu, and Shenzhen are dedicating a lot of resources. For example, adopting eVTOL and also opening the first new low-altitude healthcare logistic line. Now, the radiating effect of low-altitude economy is wide, and there is wide application scenarios. Now, it would be driven by autopiloting drones in the low altitude. Now, it can combine tourism, logistics, and also passenger transport. They will become the new growth engine. We can harness the power of low-altitude economy. So the government should start studying on setting up regulatory framework for low-altitude economy, and also ride on the bandwagon of the developments in the GBA. Now, according to the work reports this year of the two sessions, besides low-altitude economy, new quality productive forces also include the new hydrogen economy. Now, we have set the targets of achieving carbon neutrality by 2050. Hydrogen power is one of the most viable options in developing carbon-free transport. Now, by harnessing hydrogen, we can develop green productive power. Next month, the government is going to promulgate the new hydrogen energy development blueprint in Hong Kong. Now, in terms of storage, fueling, and also application of hydrogen fuel, the government should provide new clear directions, and also we should use technology to overcome the obstacles in adoption of hydrogen. We should give regard to our local context and our unique strengths, and give regard to our own research capacities and resources to forge a Hong Kong version of new quality productive forces.
Mr. Chen Chen-ying, President, I would first like to thank Mr. Chen Hak-kan for moving the motion. We have our own advantages, and we have a very staunch position. But faced with difficulties in the external environment, we should accelerate the development of new quality productive forces. We have to tie in with the national strategy of high quality development. We should provide more funding channels for enterprises to expand our financial market in order to consolidate our position as a financial center. Moving towards new quality productive forces would mean transforming traditional industries. We should move to a smart and green direction. We have our strengths in this regard, and we also have the South Finance North Innovation dual engine. Apart from enhancing our strength in R&D, we need to attract more talents in R&D. We are now data-driven. Data would help empower our productions. In the budget announced this year, it is said that we need to construct a data ecosystem. And in fact, data ecosystems would play an important role in companies' consideration to say whether they're going to move to Hong Kong. This will also make for a new industry in Hong Kong. We should also make use of blockchain and AI to improve the efficiency and security of the financial market. The Cyberport is now constructing an AI supercomputing center. It will provide great computation power for Hong Kong. I hope that the project can be completed as soon as possible. We are now also moving towards a green direction with green finance and green fintech. I see that the government is doing work in this regard in relation to sustainability disclosure. This will help with the green development of the financial market. We should continue working towards this regard. In order to make sure there is new quality financial forces, we need to nurture talents. We need a bigger talent pool. Especially in INT finance, we are short of talents at the moment. It is said that in 2032, we need to have over 100,000 people working in INT finance. We only have 65,000 people at the moment. The government should try to attract and nurture more talents so that we have the right talents for this. Apart from nurturing talents, we should also enhance collaboration with the mainland so that we can enhance our competitiveness and tie in with national strategy. We need funding for the development of new quality productive forces. The HKMA and the government should work together to provide more funding channels and encourage their banking system to provide more funding for enterprises. We need to promote the different industries to ensure there is formulation of new quality productive forces. In order to tie in with national strategy, we need to make reference to local conditions and leverage on our strengths to complement the strengths of other Greater Bay Area cities. That will facilitate the development of new quality productive forces, and we can move towards high quality development and make contributions to the national development. I so submit, President. Dr. Kennedy Wong. Digital trading is now the trend and the new growth engine. According to a report released by the State Council in 2023, in 2022, digital trade accounts for 53.7% of the total global trade. It is also said that from 2019 to 2022, the digital trade growth grew by 39%. It exceeds real trade by about 10%. We can see that digital trade is indeed the new growth engine. So Hong Kong should tie in with the national strategy of development of new quality productive forces. We are faced with various obstacles, the slowing growth of the economy and geopolitical tensions. Our traditional industries are faced with challenges. The government should work with the business sector to set up a platform so as to consolidate our position as an international trade center and seize the opportunities of accelerating the development of new quality productive forces in the country. We need to deploy more resources to develop digital infrastructure. We need data connectivity in order to do that. We also need the regulatory framework for this. We need to deploy continuous efforts for this. Singapore has set up such a platform many years ago, ensuring connectivity between the government and the business sector and within the government itself. For the implementation of a platform in Hong Kong, we would need to upload the trade data onto the platform. We need to ensure there is departmental connectivity. We should make reference to the development of AI and set up a supercomputing center for this. We need to also ensure data security. We should also leverage on the development of Web3. And we should expedite the installing of cables under the South China Sea to make sure the right infrastructure is in place. Setting up such a platform can promote the development of different industries, and we can take advantage of the development of new industries and set up the right regulatory framework for this. I also want the government to support cross-boundary e-commerce, deploying funds and resources for this. This will also facilitate the transformation of SMEs. We should also enhance collaboration with mainland authorities in G2G. We should set up the right standards for products and services. And digital products can be a start for this, and then we can expand these to the real products. It is said by the State Council last year, a relevant bureau should be set up to promote the development of digital economy and consolidation of data. We can see that the national government is very much valuing the importance of data. We should also have a commissioner for data for this, and I'm glad the government is already working towards this. We should also make reference to the relevant governance structure in the mainland. We should have plans for the development of e-commerce and digital economy. President, I so submit, speaking in support of the motion and the amendments. Professor Chen Wing-Kwong. President, I thank Mr. Chen Hak-kan for moving the motion and the amendments proposed by other members. With the development of new quality productive forces, we can move towards high quality development. President Xi talked about the development of new quality productive forces and the relevant dimensions. This will help facilitate transformation of existing industries. This important timing. We should seize the opportunities of accelerating the development of new quality productive forces in the country. President Xi, when talking about the development of new quality productive forces, made it important that we should realize R&D outcomes, and we should pave the way for new and emerging industries. Chinese medicine in Hong Kong is an emerging industry. We can make use of the new quality productive forces to develop the Chinese medicine industry. We have R&D teams in 3 top universities in Hong Kong. We have in the Baptist University that is conducting research in long COVID. We have the University of Hong Kong researching diseases with the cure of Chinese medicine. We also have another university researching AI to provide more help in clinical treatment. We can make use of big data to enhance the competitiveness of Chinese medicine industry. This will help the digitalization of Chinese medicine industry. We can make use of data to complement the development of the Chinese medicine industry. President, the development of new quality productive forces is the trend. We already have the INT development blueprint that is already helping us enhance our competitiveness. We really need to take advantage of the development in INT and make sure there is realization of INT outcomes. We also need to nurture INT talents. Apart from attracting talents, we should nurture talents in tech and R&D. It is only with such talents that we can realize R&D outcomes. I suggest the government to nurture more local talents, make good use of existing programs in universities, and provide more support to university programs and sub-degree programs to enhance the quality of talents in Hong Kong. President, I so submit speaking in support of the motion of amendment.
Ms. Yueheng, President, I speak in support of the motion moved by Mr. Gary Chan that is seizing the opportunities of accelerating the development of new quality productive forces in the country and the amendments. Last year, President Xi first mentioned the concepts of developing new quality productive forces. He mentioned that the developments of AI, big data, and life science have huge potential. New quality productive forces are the key drivers behind our high-quality development. It is the nation's strategy of development. Now, as a major component of the country's development, Hong Kong must align with the national strategy. Dr. Tan Yueheng said in his amendments that we need to foster complementary strengths between Hong Kong and other mainland cities in the GBA. This is important. The GBA provides the best entry point for Hong Kong to join the country's development. We have immense strengths in terms of R&D outcomes transformation, IP protection, and also basic research. For Shenzhen and Guangzhou, they have strengths in industrialization and also marketization of their products. Now, this is the complementary strengths we have. By having synergy with them, we will have the 1 + 1 > 2 effect. We can speed up the transformation of research outcomes into actual economic benefit. Now, on our part, we need to further enhance the collaborative mechanism with our GBA counterparts. For example, in the Northern Metropolis, we should collaborate with our partners to establish a vast base for the transformation of R&D outcomes and share resources and talents with them. Our higher education institutions and research bodies should make use of our basic research streams to engage in in-depth collaboration with the mainland cities and speed up the mass production of R&D outcomes. Now we need to foster an integrated R&D ecosystem in the area. Hong Kong can provide a platform for financing for the mainland enterprises. By making use of the one country, two systems principle, we can explore the protection and professional services to serve overseas IP and R&D outcomes. We also need to attract global talents to pursue a career in the GBA. Now we have a liberal environment. We can become the springboard and the bridgehead in attracting global talents. Now we need to further create an internationalized and liberalized R&D ecosystem and make ourselves a highland for R&D talents. Now we need to create an R&D corridor and make sure that there is unimpeded flow of capital, data, and talents in the area. We must legislate for this, and we must coordinate the collaboration on IP protection and establish fair rules and foster a highly synergized and highly efficient platform in I&T. Now there should be higher connectivity in terms of financial services. We should facilitate free flow of capital in the GBA, and we need to share the data across the border and establish a cross-boundary data center. We should enhance the opening up of data in the GBA. Now we should ensure that there is alignment between our laws in terms of standards and rules. We need to offer staunch legal safeguards for I&T. I believe that with the developments of GBA, the collaboration between Hong Kong and the mainland cities in terms of I&T development will become more pronounced. President, I so submit. Ms. Hak-kan. Thank you, President. In last September, President Xi first mentioned that we must accelerate the development of new quality productive forces. Now, this is also the first major task in this year's government's work report. I thank Mr. Gary Chen for moving this motion debate to let us explore what this has to do with Hong Kong. Now, under the context of major countries' power struggle, we need to rely on innovation and technology to transform our industries. Now, we need to enhance our service quality with technology to meet the country's need. So here are some of my thoughts. First, digital economy. Digital economy is the key driver behind high-quality economic development. Now, in 2022, I moved a motion to urge the government to legislate for digital economy. Now, after it was passed, the government has established the Digital Policy Office to pursue work on digital infrastructure development and digital legislation. Now, this is a staunch support for the development of digital economy, and I applaud the government. However, we need cross-departmental support from the government as well as an all-hands-on-deck approach to ensure sharing of data. Now, we can't just rely on the Digital Policy Office. Last October, the central authorities have established the National Digital Bureau for coordinating the digital policies in the country. Now, from our duty visits to ASEAN countries, last year, Malaysia has established the Ministry of Digital to coordinate their digital policy. Now, the Digital Economy Development Committee, chaired by the Financial Secretary, has come up with a dozen of recommendations. The establishment of the office is just the first step. The government should adopt new mindsets and new paradigms to pursue and establish a new digital governance system in Hong Kong by learning from other countries. In Singapore, we heard the term whole government approach very often. Now in Malaysia, there is the initiative of Digital Malaysia to involve the society. Now we are the offshore RMB hub for the country. We have an important role to play in the internationalization of RMB. Now I hope the HKMA and the government would pursue the Ambridge project faster. Now this will ensure financial security and economic sovereignty. Now we need to be prepared. Now with the collaboration between Thailand's Prompt Pay and our FPS, now we can collaborate with South Korea and Japan to develop a central bank currency. And by adopting a sandbox approach, we can make use of the Ambridge to establish a new mechanism of payments. In terms of trade, now the 9th joint statement between China, Japan, and South Korea in economic cooperation mentioned that RCEP is an inclusive regional agreement. All three countries urged the RCEP committee to speed up processing applications from new members. Now we have voiced our aspiration to join RCEP as soon as possible. I hope the government can obtain the support from the central government to speed up Hong Kong's accession to RCEP. Now we have some 60 leading enterprises which are going to establish a presence in the He Park. Now I hope that in the upcoming white paper, there will be a lot of focuses on mechanism and standards alignment. Now we should ensure that there is complementary strength. Now 2 days ago, at the subcommittee on the development of Northern Metropolis, the secretary mentioned that under the dual engine layout, as well as the He Park, the government will speed up the study on the He development. Now, I think we should do this as soon as possible. Now, the Northern Metropolis will be the key engine for our growth. Now, I so submit to support the motion and the amendments. Mr. Benson Look. President, I thank Mr. Gary Chan for moving this motion on seizing the opportunities of accelerating the development of new quality productive forces in the country and also the amendments. President Xi said on the 31st of January this year, that is the 11th collective studying sessions of the central authorities, that new quality productive forces will be the main driver behind high quality development. It is a breakaway from the traditional model of development. It is the new paradigm for development. Now, with this initiative, Hong Kong must identify our own role and positions in this bid. We must focus on nurturing the talents for new quality productive forces. We also must use our financing streams to support the country's bid. Now, there are 3 suggestions on my part. First, the government should provide concrete measures on nurturing the talents. For example, promoting more cross-discipline training programs in our universities. For example, in the finance and engineering subjects, new elements in relation to new quality productive forces should be included. If you look at the contemporary history, a lot of inventors were actually very young. So we must be forward-looking. We must transform our educational system towards one focusing on new quality productive forces. Now, besides post-secondary education, we need to ensure that there are a lot of STEAM and STEM elements in primary and secondary education. So we must include applied skill in secondary and primary schools. Now, I and the BPA have been urging the government to study the feasibility of including the engineering subject in secondary school curriculum. Now, second, in the mainland, many emerging industries are at a phase of rapid development, and also for the traditional industries, they are transforming themselves. The country offers staunch support for the developments in the GBA. So with our status as an international financial center, we can provide financing services for the industries in the GBA. Now, I have heard an example. A city in the ASEAN would like to pursue ESG in the country. Now, they would like to source more solar panels. However, they don't have the production capacity nor the capital to do this. Now, this is where Hong Kong can come in. We can help these ASEAN countries procure solar panels from our country, and we can be the financing platform for this transaction. Thirdly, as an international trade center, we can combine ourselves with the primary and secondary production chain in the country so that we can realize the vision of production in the country and sales in Hong Kong. Now, in many areas, the country has achieved high value adding. Now, we can help maximize that potential. Now, we have strength in international trade. We have a sophisticated third-party accreditation system. Now, we are highly credible in terms of international trade and commerce. This is where we can help the country in walking the last mile in developing new quality productive forces and also help align our forces with the international market. As I submit, I support all the motion and amendments.
Dr. Chow Wan-Kong, in March this year, Mr. Premier Lee, in the latest government work report, mentioned the first task of our country, that is to accelerate the promotion of new productive forces. This is going to help bring in new growth engines and growth drivers. This is going to bring a lot of opportunities for Hong Kong for development. I think the country's vision on new productive forces are in line with the third economic structural change in Hong Kong. And it's also very inspirational for us. The motion raised by Mr. Gary Chan comes in a very timely manner. I will speak in support of, in relation to transformation of R&D outcomes in other areas. Higher education in Hong Kong has been doing well. If we can improve the quality of our education and nurture talents, then we can form a system that can produce talents for promoting new productive forces. In 2023 policy address, the SAR government took on board the views from members of the higher education sector, and it relaxed the quota for admitting non-local students from 20% to 40% without affecting the education of local students. And this allows Hong Kong to become a talent nurturing hub in the Asia-Pacific region. However, the relevant policy cannot benefit the 14 self-financing institutions in Hong Kong. I think the self-financing institutions in Hong Kong have potential for greater development. The SAR government should promote the development of applied science universities. If the government can relax the admission of non-local students, especially those from Macau, Taiwan, and so on, then this will help us get talents for promoting new productive forces. Another point to promote new productive forces is to dovetail with the modern industrial system in the mainland. I think the SAR government can facilitate the upgrading of industries in the Greater Bay Area. There should be support measures. in the region, there can be an upgrading demonstration zone. The mainland government has been encouraging SMEs to transform and upgrade themselves. The SAR government can learn from this and develop a catalog of enterprises to build a specialist technology companies list so that there can be dovetailing between enterprises in different cities in the region. I think by supporting these enterprises, we can create more application scenarios for INT, and we can also facilitate the upgrading and transformation of these enterprises. The knowledge transfer or translation or transformation of R&D outcomes in Hong Kong are lagging behind. We need interdepartmental efforts to move with the times. Otherwise, in fostering new productive forces, we're going to be met with different challenges. We should also leverage our unique advantages as an international financial center. We should develop fintech. We should build financing platforms for new productive forces. In recent years, there have been financing and newly listed companies from Hong Kong in the mainland. So far, we're becoming the second largest financing center in Asia, and this is due to the efforts of the SAR government. We should continue to review rules for companies to list in Hong Kong. We should seize the opportunities to release the potentials of SMEs. For those with advantages and potentials that are the INT enterprises, we should allow them to have access to financing services. I so submit. Thank you. Dr. Lo Wai Kwok, I thank Mr. Gary Chan for the motion and the other 7 members for the amendments. Our country has been promoting the development of modern development system and new productive forces. These are all included in the latest government work report. And this is to break away from traditional economic growth model. We need revolutionary breakthroughs. We need innovation. And this will lead to the deepening of transformation of industries. We have to dovetail with the mainland's needs and development and leverage our strengths. We are facing challenges at the same time opportunities in fostering new productive forces. The SAR government should tap on Hong Kong's 8 centers positioning and seize the opportunities of speeding up the development of new productive forces in the country, and as well as the diversified growth of our economy. We need to look at the local conditions as we promote new productive forces. We should not work alone. We have to achieve complementarity of advantages with other cities in the Greater Bay Area. We've seen 5 years of development of the Greater Bay Area. There are 2 systems, 3 tax zones, and different types of currencies, and therefore there are obstacles in terms of rules and regulations. The BPA has released a report. We suggest that the government build a Greater Bay Area free trade zone, and this is to eliminate the barriers so that we can deepen the collaboration within the Greater Bay Area. The rules in Guangdong Zone should be applied in Macau. There should be free flow of capital. There should be dovetailing of different standards and rules. And this will become an important strategy for the development of the Greater Bay Area. We should consolidate existing policies and promote open and free policies. We have come up with different suggestions to encourage industrial innovation and transformation of R&D outcomes, we can make use of the loop as a platform and open up green channels and collaboration opportunities to allow free flow of capital as well as talents. We should also establish IP protection system and as well as INT management system. We should also establish key state labs in the northern metropolis. In the free trade zone, we should also have open policies to bring in local and overseas enterprises. And we should have a negative list, and we should further open up and remove the relevant restrictions for different industries so that we can lower the threshold for bringing in enterprises. And this helps us steer towards green and smart development. We should also bring in high-end talents to build the Greater Bay Area into a talent hub. We should have policies for personal income tax, and we should establish a permit for overseas talent system to facilitate convenience and flow of talents. The Greater Bay Area sees a 13 trillion RMB of GDP as well as 113 million population. Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau can leverage the strengths and seize the opportunities in the development of the Greater Bay Area. I so submit. Thank you. Mr. Robert Lee, I speak in support of Mr. Gary's motion as well as the other amendments. President Xi Jinping last year put forward the term new productive forces. It means a productivity driven by technological innovation, and we need financial support in order to achieve this. The central government mentioned about speeding up the building of new financial powerhouse in Hong Kong as well as in our country. The SAR government needs to promote high-quality development and move with the times to assist our country in fostering new quality productive forces. I'm going to speak in relation to the upgrading and transformation of the financial service industry. According to statistics, in March 2024, the number of licenses or license holders saw a significant increase. I see that there is room for steady increase. Different industries are striving for upgrading and transformation. The SAR government can offer support that includes helping the relevant industries to build fintech, Web 3.0, as well as virtual access. We should have more family offices to bring in financial talents. We should have diverse services. For instance, we can introduce AI to deal with services for clients, and this will help reduce the burden of the financial industry. I'd also like to talk about the tech voucher program. The tech vouchers can help different sectors in Hong Kong. However, we lack a targeted approach, and it offers limited support to our sectors. The government should enhance support under the tech voucher program. It should streamline application procedures and speed up application processes to help financial institutions enhance transaction system and boost efficiency so that we can maintain our competitiveness. Also, I support that the government develop the virtual asset system in Hong Kong, as well as Web3 hub. I have some suggestions here. Virtual asset service providers, this relevant system took effect starting from last year, but only 2 institutions got the license under this regime. among the global virtual asset platforms, a lot of them are trying to apply to get the license in Hong Kong, but a lot of them are facing challenges. I want to stress that VA platforms are worth a lot. Currently, one VA company is ranked the 4th globally. SFC said that it's going to review the current system to see how it can bring in a larger scale companies to Hong Kong to create synergy. Also, I hope the SFC can improve the different licensing systems to relax the rules for money lenders. In order to promote new productive forces, we have to see upgrading and transformation of traditional sectors and bring in green elements. We have to develop new business models. I agree what other members said in the amendments that we have to build the development pattern of South-North dual engine. We have to encourage innovative ideas of different enterprises to achieve high-quality development. We should nurture talents. I so submit. Thank you.
Mr. Andrew Lam. President, I first thank Mr. Gary Chan for moving this motion on seizing the opportunities of accelerating the development of new quality productive forces in the country, as well as the amendments. Last year, in his Hailong study visit, President Xi Jinping mentioned the term new quality productive forces for the first time. It garnered much attention. He stressed that we must accelerate the development of new quality productive forces by adopting technology. Now, it represents a great leap of productivity. Now, from the primary industry to the industrialization, every time we reform ourselves, we were adopting new technologies to transform our productivity. Now, the productive elements involves heavily technology. Now, development of new quality productive forces is the first major task of the government's work report. Now, I agree with the Financial Secretary's vision in allocating much more resources into I&T development, but we need to do more. Now, if you read President Xi's speech closely, he also stresses innovation in management and regulation. Now, we need to adopt a comprehensive approach in developing new quality productive forces so as to get ahead in the fierce global competition. Now, in terms of management on data and capital and human resources, these are important elements. Free flow of data and also collaboration can lower cost. Now, to do this, we need a capable government which can harness market forces. New quality productive forces is not just about the I&T sector. We need everyone in society to be involved. Now, we need to be innovative in terms of workflow and regulation to create the environment favorable for I&T development. Now, in terms of talents, land is important. The government has been doing its best to identify more land, but we can't stop here. We must have an even more liberal and favorable talent policy. We can't afford to be reactive. The various sectors and industries have begun their digital transformation, and they are already reaping the benefits of technology adoption. However, in terms of computational streams and also management, there are still room for improvement. Now, social welfare organizations are beginning to use AI to manage their service, and they are using big data to identify potential service targets. This can help them allocate the resources more efficiently. Now, if the government can link up various service providers and set up an integrated platform, better service can be offered. Now, internally, the government must study how to make use of AI or big data to ensure the highest efficiency among departments to make the money well spent on the most needed areas. Now, in developing new quality productive forces, we must question ourselves and break away from traditional models to remove unnecessary workflows. Now, as mentioned by Mr. Xia Baolong, we must keep abreast with the pace of the development of times. We must adapt to changes. Amidst the changes, we must forge a new path. I so submit. Mr. Frankie Yik. President, with the advancements of technology, after promoting the development of digital economy, in this two session, President Xi mentioned the new development direction of new quality productive forces. The Hong Kong SAR government must tap the opportunity and continuously seek breakthroughs and enhance our competitiveness to strengthen our roles under the 8 positions and align with the national strategy. New productive forces mean harnessing technology to break away from the old development model. Now, the old model was labor intensive. Now we are moving towards smart development. Now, for my sector, the logistics sector, it was traditionally a labor-intensive sector. Now we are moving away from B2B to B2C transaction model. Now, manual processing of the orders is no longer able to catch up with the mass volume of trade. Now, with the limitation of human resources and labor shortage, the logistics sector is facing huge challenges. Now, some logistics companies are harnessing the power of automation in terms of packaging and delivery. They are using big data, blockchains, and also RFIC technologies, as well as global positioning system to enhance the efficiency of the global logistics chain. Now, we should encourage the logistics trade to adopt more new quality productive forces. We need hardware and software. In terms of software, talent is important. We need to import talents, but we can't neglect nurturing of our own talents as well. That's why the Liberal Party supports the previous motion on developing digital education. Now, capital is also a concern. At present, only scalable logistics companies have the luxury to pursue transformation. Now, the government has launched the pilot scheme on supporting third-party logistics service providers to digitalize themselves. It has been 3 years. However, a lot of companies are still operating on paper base. Now, we should encourage more logistics companies to adopt INT and smart logistics methods to enhance their efficiency. Now, we need space to have the digital infrastructure, so we need land for developing new quality productive forces. However, the government is still using the method of short-term tenancy to address the need of the logistics trade. So without certainty, no one is willing to invest in new quality productive forces. So the government must identify more long-term land for the logistics trade. Otherwise, we will stay in the labor-intensive model and fail to contribute to the country's strategy. Now, under e-commerce, there are all kinds of goods besides electronic products and apparels. In recent years, we also have high-value goods like pharmaceutical products and cosmetics. Now, we need smart systems to monitor the temperature along the transportation. So we need to enhance the infrastructure for cold chain storage. We need to have this in order to bolster our position as a regional distribution center. Now we have a simple tax regime and a robust legal system. Under one country, two systems, we have the strength to become the superconnector. However, we can't afford to stay put. New quality productive forces are the new growth engine for the logistics trade. The government should give more support to the trade and enhance Hong Kong as the position as the regional logistics hub in the country, and also enhance our position as an international and regional aviation hub to meet the country's aspiration. I so submit. Mr. Rockchan. President, new quality productive forces mean that adopting cutting-edge technology to enhance productivity. I support the motion and the amendments, and these are my personal views. Now, the government should provide incentives to embrace INT and give play to our strengths of having top-notch talents and researchers in Hong Kong. And we should promote developments in AI, life and health technology, and Web 3.0 and new energy. These are the future industries. Now we should have something like the INT fund to support financing for innovators in the ASEAN markets. We should play the role of a matchmaker and attract more family offices from the globe to invest in INT enterprises. Second, we must implement the policy of new industrialization in Hong Kong. AI and robotics are the trend in the globe, and also there is the Internet of Things and big data. Now we should use these to establish an automated and smart production system to enhance our capacity. The Hong Kong Productivity Council should offer more courses on training AI talents to ensure that we have the talents to drive industrialization, Industry 4.0. Now the country is speeding up development of its low-altitude economy. Now the founders of the Dajiang company, the world-leading drone company, originated from the HKUST. We should tap this opportunity to forge a new low-altitude logistics route and enhance the relevant regulatory regime on low-altitude tourism, transportation, and so on. Now, we need capital to support the development of new quality productive forces. Now, core technologies cannot be developed overnight. We need a long-term, sustainable, patient capital to nurture it. Now, we should collaborate with overseas and mainland enterprises with potential to come to Hong Kong and make use of our connectivity with the world. We should enhance our listing and financing system to attract pre-profit life and health technology companies to come to Hong Kong to finance. Now, by making use of our connectivity with the world and the country, we should help commercialize the research outcomes of these startups and then sell them to the international markets. This will strengthen our position as an international financing center. Lastly, we must speed up development of the digital economy. We must unleash the potential in data and enrich application scenarios. But first of all, we must establish the digital infrastructure. The government should also enhance collaboration between the research sector and the industry. Now we must adhere to this path in using new quality productive forces to support high quality development. I so submit and support all the motion and amendments.
Mr. Lerman Kwong. When President Xi visited Hailong, he first raised the subject of new quality productive forces. And this has become a buzzword this year and has been included in this year's government work report. We should seize this opportunity and leverage on our strengths for this. New quality productive forces are about making use of new models instead of traditional models to help with the development of industries. As the country moves towards high quality development, the development of new quality productive forces has become an important part of the national strategy. There are multiple new technologies involved, such as AI and various green technologies. Hong Kong is now at a time where we need more new quality productive forces because our traditional industries can no longer bring about generous economic growth. We need to enhance our competitiveness and improve our traditional industries. We need to play a role of superconnector and maintain our status and advantages in this role. Recently, in Wan Chai Harbourfront, there was a drone performance, and in the Tsim Sha Tsui Harbourfront, we also had the first drone performance of the Doraemon anime. We have attracted many locals and visitors to watch such performances. It has brought about generous revenue for the neighboring shops, and it has essentially become a brand for Hong Kong. Not only do drones demonstrate our strength in INT and attract visitors, this is a demonstration of the development of new quality productive forces, bringing about growth in tourism. It has increased the time spent by tourists in Hong Kong, and that will in turn generate more economic growth in other sectors. We need to support the new industries in Hong Kong that would develop new quality productive forces. We should see how these can bring about potential growth in the tourism industry. We should develop characteristic tourism packages. We should encourage people to be innovative, to bring about more growth for the various districts. We should enhance the quality of services, and we should make reference to local characteristics to develop more tourism resources that would bring about the growth of not only the tourism sector and other sectors. We should have more innovative and high value added tourism products, and in doing so, that would develop new quality productive forces, moving towards the high quality development of the tourism sector, and it will benefit not only the economy but also the locals. Thank you. Mr. Chen Pui-Leung. I would first like to thank Mr. Chen Hak-kan for moving the motion. We are now at a crossroads. With the country accelerating the development of new quality productive forces, this will help provide more room for development of Hong Kong's 8 centers positioning. With the development of new quality productive forces, we need to make use of tech to bring about development of various sectors. We have the strong support of the country, and we have global connectivity. We have great strengths in the R&D sector. We have a very high basic research level. What is important now is the realization of R&D outcomes and the fostering of collaboration between the research and the business sector. We need the right talents and enterprises for this. We have been trying to attract enterprises and talents. We have been providing tax incentives and many different support measures to attract talents to come to Hong Kong. I think we're doing good work in this regard, but then we also need a strategy to make sure there is funding. We should enhance the deployment of co-investment fund in order to encourage more enterprises to come to Hong Kong. We should also provide more support to startups. We should also have the oasis provide various support services to startups so that they can adjust to the local market. With the development of new quality productive forces, we need the right digital infrastructure and data framework. We're in a good position here. We can have data from the mainland, and we have significant amounts of data on the mainland. But we're lagging behind in the setting up of digital infrastructure. We can see that other jurisdictions have many different data centers, and our AI supercomputing center has yet to be constructed. Hong Kong can also provide support for data security enterprises to set up shop in Hong Kong. We can become a data security hub. With the development of new quality productive forces, we need to be innovative. The government has to take a lead in becoming an innovative government. Don't be afraid to fail, because we would need to face failures before we can be successful. And in fact, on the mainland, they have a regulatory framework for digital technologies. In fact, they have provided room for errors to be made. They do not ban technologies altogether at the very beginning. We should explore more room and new models of regulation for technologies with reference to what is happening on the mainland. We should also encourage students to not only study the traditional subjects. We should encourage students to study INT early on and provide them with incentives to study AI. Thank you. Mr. Kenneth Lau. Thank you, President. President Xi first raised the topic of new quality productive forces when he visited Hailong, and this has been included in this year's government work report, and it has been set as a priority. It shows that the state government is very much attaching great importance to the development of new quality productive forces. With the development of new quality productive forces, it would provide innovation for traditional industries so that they can move towards high quality development and smart and green industries. Undoubtedly, the development of new quality productive forces is very important to the country, and Hong Kong can really help in this regard because of its traditional advantages. With the one country, two systems, Hong Kong can play a role of the superconnector. Under the National 45-year plan, Hong Kong has an 8 centers positioning. In particular, Hong Kong is to be developed into an international INT hub, and we can make contributions to the country in the arena of INT. Right now, Hong Kong has 5 top 100 universities, 16 top-notch research institutes, and we also have multiple top-notch labs. We have thousands of top-notch academics and R&D talents in Hong Kong. We have an advantage in this regard. In order to leverage on this advantage, we should make good use of the Northern Metropolis that is currently in development. With the Northern Metropolis Action Agenda, the setting Technopole that will be 627 hectares in size. It will connect with the Hong Kong Shenzhen INT Park. This will create synergies for Hong Kong and Shenzhen and create great impetus for growth in INT. A phase 1 development planning is more or less completed, and 5 buildings will complete their construction in this year. We will have Life and Health Science Center as well as the Inner Hong Kong clusters that will move into the Santin Technopole or the Hong Kong Shenzhen INT Park. I hope that the government will flesh out the plans for the Northern Metropolis as soon as possible so that we'll know about the distribution of the different enterprises so as to prevent any potential overlap. The government should also be forward-thinking in formulating strategies and policies. For the strategic INT enterprises, for example, AI, IoT, and life and health sciences, the government should provide support and incentives to enterprises so as to attract enterprises to move into the park. In the action agenda, it is said that a university town will be set up in the Northern Metropolis and will recruit local and overseas institutions to set up their operations in the town. President, we are now at a crossroads. We need to flesh out the planning for Northern Metropolis so that the Northern Metropolis can seize the new opportunities in the development of new quality productive forces and make contributions to the country. I so submit, speaking in support of the motion and amendments.
Mr. Martin Liao. President, I thank Mr. Gary Chan for raising this motion. President Xi Jinping, in September last year, mentioned that we need to promote new quality productive forces and that we have to develop modern industrial model to speed up the development of new productive forces, and this is a top task in the government work report this year. During the 2 sessions meeting, President Xi mentioned that we have to develop new productive forces in accordance with the local conditions. In order to develop new productive forces, we need to build an INT international center, and this is the best entry point for us to seize the opportunities. We have to have breakthroughs and innovative research in the downstream sector, and in the midstream sector we have to transform R&D outcomes so that in the downstream sectors we can set up smart production lines. In the upstream sector, we have to deepen R&D research. We have to grasp the research skills. The authority said it's going to inject $30 billion for such research, and on a matching basis, it's going to finance the 8 universities to cover AI, quantum technology, and other types of research projects. I think this is the right direction. For frontier technologies, especially basic researches, they are challenging and they are high-risk researches. on setting standards for the subsidy scheme for such research projects, the SAR government should think about offering long-term steady support for research talents. Say it can be a 5-year cycle, and at the maximum it can offer 15-year long support to these research talents. In the midstream sector of the INT industrial chain, that is transformation of R&D outcomes, well, this is the weakness of Hong Kong. That's why the SAR government rolled out the $10 billion Race Plus scheme. Also, this week it announced that it's going to work with 20 university research teams to offer subsidies to them. In the past, I've spoken about transformation of R&D outcomes. I think we should work with the Greater Bay Area cities, and the government should take the lead to build scientific research platforms. I'm not going to go into details here. From 100 to N large-scale industrial development, well, the government picked life and health science, AI, as well as microelectronics. In 2022, the government rolled out a series of talent admission schemes. Under the Top Talent Pass scheme, a lot of people went to the insurance sector, and this is against the policy objective. I think the government, when reviewing the talent admission schemes, it should consider bringing in talents that are going to work in the 8 centers industries in Hong Kong. Last month, I gave a talk in a secondary school in Hong Kong when I talked about the opportunities in the country. Well, some students told me that they think INT sectors are far away from them. They asked me how they can seize the opportunities. A lot of income earners in Hong Kong, they think that INT sectors has nothing to do with them. Compared to Singapore, well, the Singaporean government rolled out the AI development proposal. One of them is to subsidize people aged 40 or above 4,000 Singaporean dollars so that they can pursue further studies. As we develop INT sector, we should think about how to increase manpower supply so that we can all share the fruitful outcome. Thank you. Mr. Michael Luke. President, I speak in support of Mr. Gary Chan's motion on seizing the opportunities of accelerating the development of new quality productive forces in the country, as well as all other amendments. One of our goals is to foster new productive forces. We should release such forces. Productive forces is a new engine for human productivity. If there is restriction, then conflicts may arise. President Xi Jinping last year put forward the idea of new quality productive forces. It is a new interpretation of productive forces, and it's become a new buzzword. Well, new, as we all know, means novel policies as well as measures. In terms of quality, it means we have to see a boost of quality from 0 to 1. We should see a leap. Say from number 9 to 10 is also a leap in quality. We should focus on quality instead of quantity. Now, we have to think from this perspective. We should have different technologies in order for us to achieve our goal. Well, we've been talking about e-vehicles. Well, Mr. Gary Chan, in his opening speech, mentioned that we see great development in e-vehicles in our countries. Like BYD, apart from developing e-vehicles, it developed hybrid vehicles. A few days ago, it rolled out the 5th generation of e-vehicles. For every 200 kilometers, only 2 liters of fuel is required. Only 1 bucket of fuel is needed for a long journey. How can we continue to develop traditional technologies while we explore new ones? In the Xinjiang Gobi, where we see development of photovoltaic energy. How can we make use of that? Water can be accumulated in the photovoltaic panels, and after you collect such water, you can use that for irrigation and grow crops. Well, this is to help prevent desertification. And this can also become pasture for sheep. This can also be converted into a tourist destination as it draws visitors to watch the sheep. I think this can be regarded as a new productive force. While our country is leading in terms of new productive forces, there are many enterprises in the mainland. Do you know which enterprise has the most number of patents? Not BYD, not Tencent. It is the power company. In 2022, 24,000 patents were applied for, and it involves 110,000 products. We need unlimited supply of energy, including green energy as well as AI. We need chips, we need supercomputing skills, we also need power. There are windmills that help generate power, and every year it can generate 20 kilowatt power. Can we borrow power from our country so that we can better integrate ourselves into the overall development of our country? This is my interpretation of the new quality productive forces. Mr. Lee. New quality productive forces is a buzzword in the 2 sessions meeting this year. I've read a lot of articles about new productive forces. I'd like to share one article from a journal I came across. I hope we can all work together to promote new productive forces so that we can contribute to our country. New productive forces mean reform and energy that can influence the nature. The word is first mentioned in September 2023 during President Xi Jinping's visit to Hailong. In different occasions afterwards, President Xi mentioned about this term. And this is about seizing opportunities in new reform and revolution, as well as to help develop modernized China. On the 7th of September in 2023, President Xi Jinping in a conference mentioned that we have to have new materials and digital information technologies to speed up the formation of new quality productive forces to create new drive engines. On the 8th of September 2023, Mr. President Xi mentioned, after listening to reports from experts, that we have to speed up the formation of new productive forces. Industries are the underlying parts of new productive forces. The key is innovation and quality. Strategic emerging industries as well as future-oriented industries are the essence of promoting new productive forces. In November 2023, President Xi in a working group meeting, mentioned that we need a structural reform. The key is to use innovation. We have to have groundbreaking technologies and frontier technologies to bring about new modes, new growth drivers, and new industries. In January this year, President Xi, in a commendation meeting, mentioned that he hopes all engineers in our country can contribute to the benefits of our people and that they can be brave enough to innovate and come up with new technologies so that we can achieve self-reliance in science and technology. And this will also help bring about the rejuvenation of our country. In March this year, President Xi listened to the views of different sectors. And it was said that the technology sector should take up the mission and responsibility to innovate technology talents, help contribute to new modes and new growth engines. Therefore, we need more talents. On the 21st of January this year, during the 11th collective study session, President Xi stressed that there are certain internal requirements concerning promoting new productive forces, and that we have to continue to work hard. The Jiangsu delegation mentioned that we have to promote new productive forces in accordance with our local conditions. We have to be ahead of ourselves. In February this year, in Tianjin, President Xi listened to another report and again spoke about new productive forces. I raised an oral question in this council, and Professor Sun Dong back then replied to my question. I hope Professor Sun can further reply to our views, as I believe that by now, Professor Sun must have new understanding and interpretation of this term.
Mr. So Chan-wing. Thank you, President. Now, when we deliberate on how we can develop new quality productive forces in Hong Kong, we must avoid being just focused on words, and we must avoid any potential pitfalls. Now, INT is not the all about new quality productive forces in Hong Kong. We must give regard to our local characteristics. While promoting development of the INT industry, we must consolidate the unique strengths of our traditional pillars. Now, we must make use of technology and digitalization and intelligentization to empower the conventional industries and help them transform into new quality productive forces. I think that is in line with what Director Xia Balong said. We need to give regard to our own economic foundations, our market characteristics, and our own research streams to strategically pursue new quality productive forces and build a comprehensive competitive force. Deputy President, in terms of the specifics of the new quality productive forces in Hong Kong, we must consolidate our industrial strengths and our research capacity to encourage an overall transformation towards smart development of our industries. Now, this includes research design for manufacturing industries, financial services, education and talent training services, aviation and logistics, trade and information services, agency services, and other ancillary supporting services for our productive forces. Now, these services should work hand in hand with the I&T industry and other industries. This will help embed Hong Kong into the global supply chain. Now, these are chokehold points of the global supply chain. In terms of division of labor between Hong Kong and other cities in the country, our most advantageous area is not manufacturing. We are not the most highly industrialized city in the country. Now, our strength lies in manufacturing, tertiary services. Now, in our services, the EU countries account for 49% of the trade, and other countries accounts for some 40 to 50%. Now, the country only accounts for 19% of our manufacturing service industries. So I think we should tap the mainland market in terms of providing manufacturing support services to the manufacturers. Now, by pursuing this direction, we are not turning our backs on technology-driven new quality productive forces. On the other hand, we are giving the country what it needs. Now, like Mr. Zhang Yanxiong said, we have the historical background and strengths and basic conditions for helping the country to develop new quality productive forces. We have rich soil for developing new quality productive forces. We are the forerunners of the country, and we can't miss out on this opportunity. So I urge the government to increase Hong Kong's contribution to the country's and the world's manufacturing service industry. Now, this will help us bolster our international position. And second, it will further open up our financial servicing system. We can align our financial markets with the sophisticated markets in the world. Your time is up. Please stop speaking. Dr. So, your time is up. Mr. Duncan Chiu. Thank you, Deputy President. I speak in support of Mr. Gary Chan's original motion and the amendments. During the two sessions this year, President Xi said in his important speech the importance of new quality productive forces, and this is also mentioned by Premier Li Qiang. Now, the goal is to pursue progress while maintaining stability, promote stability through progress, and establish the new before abolishing the old, and pursue new quality productive forces. By transforming our industries, we can pursue high-quality development. Now, with this clear direction, we have to think about how to implement it, including how we can tap the opportunities. By consolidating our international financial center status and speed up the progress of developing new quality productive forces locally. Now, I have read lots of reports and researches in the country. Now, there are some papers which break down the term new quality productive forces into three categories. The first category is to encourage existing industries to embrace technology and enhance productivity. Second, encouraging all sectors to adopt technology and I&T to increase their efficiency and productivity. Three, establishing more upstream and high-end productive producers. Now, what has Hong Kong been doing in these three regards? Now, according to the ITIB's development blueprints for I&T and also past measures, the above three areas were covered. Now, we have been promoting the idea of new industrialization. Besides the Commissioner for Industry, there is also the new Industrialization Development Office. So as I mentioned, the first category is to help the traditional industries to elevate their adoption of technology. Now, under the support scheme and under a 1-to-2 matching basis, the government helps traditional producers to upgrade into smart production lines. However, in many industries, the production lines have moved northward to the country or other Southeast Asian countries. So for these overseas production lines, they are still owned by Hong Kong entrepreneurs. So how can we help them to transform? The government should do more in helping these overseas production lines to become intelligent, or maybe encourage the entrepreneurs to reestablish their supply chain in Hong Kong. Now, second, providing support, general support to all sectors to enhance their usage of technologies. Now, there are a lot of different schemes. During the epidemic, we have the remote business funding schemes, and now we have the technology voucher. Now, these are all support schemes for helping different sectors to be digitalized. Now, besides, we have been urging the government to support more locally researched products. So that's why we have the $10 billion Raise Plus schemes to help locally invented products to tap overseas markets. Now, I hope the government will continue its support for the adoption of locally researched products by the government and the private sector. Now, the third area is to encourage the establishment of more high-end and upstream technology companies. The government has reached out to more than 100 leading enterprises in the world, and also there is the $10 billion new industrialization acceleration scheme for that purpose. This will help obtain more production lines in Hong Kong. Now, through these programs, the government can speed up processing applications and maybe relax the eligibility to support more enterprises. Thank you. Mr. Chen Kinpo. Thank you, Deputy President. First of all, I thank Mr. Gary Chan for moving this motion. The motion is very important for our future development. Our country is a major production powerhouse in the world. Now, it is now picking up speed on developing new quality productive forces. There will be exponential developments in the area. It will be the forerunner in the fourth industrial revolution. Now, with our support by from the country, we can be the superconnector between the country and the world, and we can meet the country's actual need. Now, we invented steam engines, and also computer, and there were 3 waves of industrialization previously. Now, with the developments in AI, we are at the cusp of the 4th industrial revolution. Now, new quality productive forces are closely related to the 4th industrialization wave. It is to pursue high-quality developments of the country's economy with technology. Now, the country is being challenged by the West. That's why it is ever more important to embrace new quality productive forces. That will be the major driver for our country's future growth. Hong Kong can make important contribution in this regard. Now, we need to be innovative in technological invention. Now, the GBA infrastructure has become very mature. We have developed a collaborative mechanism with our neighbors in the GBA. Now, Hong Kong and Shenzhen are Hong Kong is an important powerhouse of research in the country. We are the only place in the country with 5 state key laboratories. Now, we have gathered a large pool of returning Chinese scientists. Now, in the future, we will have more and more researchers to come. We have sufficient capacity in terms of talents to drive innovation in the country, so we shouldn't be too humble. We can be a great contributor to our country's development. At the same time, we have established the New Industrialization Development Office for steering the efforts. And also, we are building the Senti Technopole, and we also have the INT Fund. In time, our INT industry can shine. Of course, we need to combine strengths with our GPA neighbors. Now, Shenzhen has seen remarkable results. Dongguan is a national production base. We have different roles to play, and together we can become a globally competitive supplier. So we should join hands in driving innovation, and in the end, we can all become centers of new quality productive forces. And under one country, two systems, Hong Kong has always been a superconnector for the country. Now, as a window for the country, we need to do our part. Now, to develop new quality productive forces, we need financing talents, legal talents, and aviation and maritime talents, and so on. We have a wide range of high-quality professional services which can meet the country's need, and we can also benefit from this. Hong Kong can become a talent pool for the country's INT developments, and we can also recruit talents for the country. Our 8 universities are nurturing a lot of high-quality talents. Now, the Western countries are not very friendly towards students from the country, so we can step up and plug the gap. We should increase our quota for non-local students and attract more overseas students to study in Hong Kong. Now, this can enhance the achievements of our universities. Thank you.
主席
Professor Fatila Leung. Thank you, Deputy President. I speak in support of the motion moved by Mr. Hak-kan and all the amendments proposed by other members. I first would like to thank the country for developing new quality productive forces, and Hong Kong should seize on the opportunities. Hong Kong has recently been developing the INT sector. There are multiple technologies in the INT arena that are very important for the development of new quality productive forces. Now, how can we promote the development of new quality productive forces? We should leverage on our advantages in the traditional industries. I want to first talk about professional services, and then I'll talk about talents. Professional services. We, in the legal field, have strived for early on a licensing examination to be held in the Greater Bay Area for legal professionals. And we have over 1,000 practitioners who have taken the examination, and I myself have taken the examination last year. Why should we take the examination? It is the trend that we should embrace for other professionals such as engineers. We should also have such green pathways because we need such practitioners in order to develop further the new quality productive forces. I also thank the country support for Hong Kong to be developed into an international mediation and arbitration center. In fact, the International Mediation Organization has set up their regional headquarters in Hong Kong. I do appreciate the efforts made by the country and the Hong Kong government in this regard. We do see, however, recently many large enterprises that have or are on the brink of bankruptcy, and I think Hong Kong can take advantage of this and we can become a restructuring center. We can make use of legal talents on the mainland, and we can have them work together with the common law talents in Hong Kong to help these large enterprises. Right now, in Hong Kong, there is much investment going on, and investors will be very willing to invest in these large enterprises because they see this as good investment opportunities. In fact, many companies right now have gone to the US to apply for bankruptcy. We should retain them in Hong Kong or the Greater Bay Area in general, and our professional services talents can help these large enterprises. They would not need to rely on legal talents overseas in order for them to go through the bankruptcy proceeding smoothly. I think we can take advantage of this opportunity in the Greater Bay Area so that we can develop Hong Kong into a restructuring center for corporations. I would also like to talk about recently a proposal by the BPA. I myself had made 5 suggestions. 1, we should have a green corridor in the Greater Bay Area to facilitate the flow of various resources. 2, we should provide IP protection and provide incentives in relation to various aspects. We should also have a national level lab in Hong Kong in order to attract talents. Also, we should implement the tax system of Hong Kong in the Greater Bay Area for Hong Kong companies. Also, we should facilitate the flow of talents by providing talent visas to them. I so submit, President, Mr. Holden Chow. Deputy President, I thank Mr. Chen Hak-kan for moving this very important motion. It is about seizing the opportunities of accelerating the development of new quality productive forces in the country. This is a buzzword now, new quality productive forces. I will therefore not talk about the definition of the term. It would be relevant to INT and digital economy. This much is important. I myself, since 2021, have been writing about how we can promote new industrialization. I have now written 3 documents in this. For the DAB, we're working on this because before we have failed at new industrialization and people think this direction would be doomed. But thanks to the efforts of the government, the chief executive and the secretary for RTI, people's perceptions have changed and people are now more confident in Hong Kong being developed into an INT center. We have now set a performance indicator for INT's contribution to the GDP. In my very first paper, I wrote about this, and this has not been supported by various stakeholders. But I think the efforts of the secretary and members, we have finally set the performance indicator, and we are to achieve a target of 5% in 2030. This would be a significant increase from what we have right now. I also thank the government for setting up an office to promote digital economy. Right now, we have enterprises that are concerned that they would have to go to multiple departments to file different applications and obtain the relevant registrations or licenses. I thank the government for setting up the office, and I think the secretary would know what difficulties these enterprises would face if there isn't such an office. I thank the government for implementing various support measures, and I understand that we already have 20 top-notch INT enterprises that are planning to come to Hong Kong. I hope the government will continue to work in this regard, and we hope such top-notch enterprises will stay in Hong Kong. We do have some support measures already, as I mentioned, so I will now shift my focus that we should take advantage of our connectivity to the world with the development of new quality productive forces. Recently, there was a delegation of the TDC that has gone to Hungary, and the TDC has a good network there, and we were able to reach out to the stakeholders there, and Hungary is exactly an example of our success, because Hungary is very good at new energy vehicles and lithium batteries at the moment, and some mainland enterprises such as the BYD have already become the large producers in Hungary. We have seen our country making great strides in this regard. Since our country has much trading with Hungary, we need to provide R&B products and services, and there is such great demand. We should provide such professional services to Hungary, and we can make contributions with our professional services. This is a very good example how we can contribute to the national development of new quality productive forces. Thank you, Deputy President. I would like to remind members, in accordance with the rules of procedure, this motion debate is to end at 12:14. I will at 11:30 invite Mr. Hak-kan to speak on the amendments. Thank you. Mr. Stanley. Thank you, Deputy President. I thank Mr. Hak-kan for moving the motion and the other members for proposing the amendments. New quality productive forces is now an important factor in driving economic growth, and Hong Kong can make contributions in the country's path to accelerate the development of new quality productive forces. We have our inherent advantages that can provide funding and various kinds of support for the development of new quality productive forces in the country. Hong Kong, as an international trade center, has much trading with various regions. We can provide pathways for enterprises to go global. Hong Kong also has many world-class academic institutions and research institutes. We can nurture the right talents to make contributions to the country in the INT development. We can promote realization of R&D outcomes through the nurturing of talents. With the different sectors, Hong Kong also has its own advantages. We can help the country maintain connectivity with the world with the development of new quality productive forces and help set standards. For example, with reference to DJI success, the country was able to set up the relevant ISO standards for drones, and we can make use of our professional services sector to provide the support for mainland enterprises in this regard. in order to seize the opportunities of such, Hong Kong should integrate into the overall development of the country and collaborate with the other Greater Bay Area cities to construct an INT platform or have an INT park set up so that we can complement each other's strengths to promote the development of INT. We should also provide more funding support to enterprises to develop more technologies. We should also set up regulatory framework and a right business environment for enterprises. We should also nurture the new growth engines such as AI. We should also deploy more resources in nurturing talents for the development of new quality productive forces. We should try to attract mainland and overseas talents to come to Hong Kong, and this will create impetus for growth for Hong Kong. Deputy President, we now have great opportunities that we can seize, and President Xi said before in a collective study session that we should work towards the development of new quality productive forces and accelerate such development. Hong Kong should leverage on its advantages so that we can make contributions to the country's acceleration of the development of new quality productive forces. Deputy President, I speak in support of the motion amendments. Thank you.
Mr. Brave Chen, thank you. Deputy President, thank you, Secretary. I thank and I support the motion raised by Mr. Gary Chen. It's about seizing the opportunities of accelerating the development of new quality productive forces in the country. I also thank other members for their amendments. A lot of members just now talked about the origination of this term. It's from September 2023. It's a term put forward by President Xi Jinping. And during the two sessions meeting this year, President Xi mentioned about this new quality productive forces. And this is also regarded as the top task by Premier Li in the latest government work report. As said by President Xi, we have to promote and accelerate the development of new productive forces. We have to leverage on our advantages in order to do that. And Chief Executive John Lee said, under one country, two systems, we enjoy open and free business environment. We have world-class infrastructure as well as robust financial system. We also have world-renowned universities, which are going to also leverage their unique advantages. Professor Sun Dong, in different occasions, also mentioned about the importance of quality and quantity, and I agree to all of that. Big data, new energy vehicles, and Chinese manufactured products are manifestation of new productive forces. And during the two sessions meeting, we see that our country leaders had different interpretations of new productive forces. I want to talk about how new productive forces are crucial to the development of high-quality industries. We should take part in the frontline development of new productive forces, and we have to be pioneers in this regard. We are a hub that brings together capital and financial resources. We are also the super connector, and as said by Chief Executive, we are also a super value adder. We are a super partner and a super supporting point. We have to leverage our strength as a financial center. We should consolidate our resources to safeguard the safety of our financial system. We have to make breakthroughs in our financial industry to boost the confidence of investors, and we should maintain our characteristics as a financial center. President Xi went to meet 3 delegations. When he met with representatives from the new energy sector, he said that we have to nurture growth engines for new productive forces. And when he met with the Jiangsu delegation, he said that we have to develop new productive forces in accordance with local conditions, and this is highly relevant to us. And when he met with the Liberation Army, and he said we have to have strategies. Our military or resources may lag behind other powerhouses in the world, but we need strategies. That means new quality productive forces do not only represent new development. Traditional industries should be upgraded, like new energy vehicles. We see new technologies. We have high-speed rail trains, for instance. A few days ago, when I returned to the electrical complex, I saw the new smart lift, and I saw a camera installed in the new lift. And I think this is what we mean by new technologies and upgrading. So apart from pursuing economic growth and as well as the 8 centers, we have to support our country in rejuvenating itself. Ms. Doreen Kong, I speak in support of Mr. Gary Chan's original motion. I thank other members for their amendments. President Xi Jinping put forward the term new quality productive forces, and we need to create new growth drivers, new modes in order to do that, and the term serves as an important guidance. In the eyes of the general public, new productive forces may seem to be something very far away from us. We have to break away from traditional thoughts. In the digital era, new quality productive forces means automation and intelligentization as well as smart development. We need new technologies as well as technological innovation. It infiltrates into every part of our lives. We need to make use of AI, IoT, as well as big data to support productivity and production. For Hong Kong, to promote new productive forces represents a revolution and reform. More importantly, we have to make breakthroughs in our mentality. The key is new. We have to have novel ideas. In order to have novel ideas, we have to nurture talents. We have to have a system as well as digitalized strategies to cultivate talents. So, new productive quality forces have to do with our education system. In recent years, the traditional industries in Hong Kong have been working hard quietly. High-end electronics industry in Hong Kong is lagging behind. Back in 1970s and the 1980s, we saw the peak of our manufacturing industry. It accounted for 20% of our GDP as at the 1980s. It engaged over 30% of our work population. While we saw the movement of factories away from Hong Kong, our past experiences told us that we have the capability to develop these industries. It's just that we should break away from our traditional mindset. We have to now rely on big data analytics as well as advanced machines and equipment and talents in order to upgrade and transform our industries. According to statistics from 2019, the manufacturing industries accounted for less than 1% of our GDP. Compared to neighboring countries and regions, this is of a low percentage. While the manufacturing industry is of a small scale in Hong Kong, it helps upgrade and transform our industry. For instance, we encourage the use of IoT and robotics technologies, and these can all help facilitate the promotion of new productive forces. The future of new productive forces should lie in strategic emerging industries and future-oriented industries. For instance, with regard to the demographic changes and aging population in Hong Kong, well, we have to look at the potential of silvered economy. It can stimulate economic growth locally. It can also help relieve the burden of taking care of our elderly in the city. We have to be innovative. We have to opt for a new path. We should give up on the old thoughts or old way of thinking. We have to continue to make breakthroughs. We have to be bold enough to be creative and innovative. We have to improve the lives of the grassroots. I think this is the fundamentals of the new productive forces. Ms. Connie Lam. Deputy President, I speak in support of Mr. Gary Chan's original motion as well as other members' amendments. To speed up the development of new productive forces is one of the top 10 missions in this year's government work report. And this is in line with the National 14th Five-Year Plan about the development of 8 centers in Hong Kong. President Xi Jinping said, promoting new productive forces help achieve high-quality development. Therefore, we should not stop at traditional mode of manufacturing production. We have to leverage our strengths and seize opportunities that arise from our country. We should enhance our basic R&D capabilities. Well, new productive forces cover different areas, including hydrogen energy, quantum technology, and low-altitude economy, and so on. The use of technologies is indispensable as we foster new productive forces. We can only achieve that if we apply technologies. Therefore, we should encourage the use of technologies in different sectors to lower cost of production and generate new business opportunities. For instance, in I&T, we can build a centralized platform and database, and we can combine the use of different tools to help facilitate collaboration and innovation. We should also encourage trade, finance, and transport and logistics industries to upgrade and transform themselves. In terms of elderly care, we can make use of IoT technologies, and we can make use of non-invasive sensors to gather data from elderly people. We can make use of cloud technologies to record these data and pass them on to social workers as well as therapists and so on, so that they can make better risk assessments. In the long run, we should monitor the data, and we can then reduce manpower shortage. These technologies can also help elderly people express their needs, and we can, through this technology, analyze the needs of elderly people, and these can serve as reference for people who work in elderly care. We see limitations, however. There are also controversies. However, as we see continuous improvement of these type of products, we can better understand our elderly people. These germ technology products will become more common in the future. We will then be able to enjoy the benefits brought by these technologies and allow elderly people to age at home. We should gather feedback from users and analyze the feasibility of making use of these technologies. The government should also continue to build Hong Kong into a smart city. We should allow the general public to enjoy the convenience brought by technologies. We should also look at the local conditions. The government has been trawling for talents and retaining talents. In the amendments of this motion, it is mentioned that we have to make use of entrepreneurs. I support that idea. The government as well as enterprises should offer training and opportunities to attract more high-quality talents to help foster new productive forces in Hong Kong. Lastly, regional collaboration is also key. Hong Kong as an INT international hub, we have advantages in terms of our geographical position. We should leverage strengths to work with other cities in the Greater Bay Area to achieve complementarity and advantages. Deputy President, I so submit. Thank you.
Dr. Junius Ho. Deputy President. President Mao Zedong, during his days in Yan'an, asked a question to Hu Yaobang. What is military? So Mr. Hu talked in length about what that is. President Mao then said, it's not that complicated. Military tactics means stay and fight when you are winning and flee when you are losing. And then he asked, what is politics? And then Mr. Wu went on. And President Mao said, politics is very simple. I have to pull you down, and I want to climb up and replace you. And then he asked, what is propaganda? Mr. Wu then said, propaganda is this and that. And then Mao said, it's not that complicated. Propaganda is about advertising my strengths and talking you down. And what does it mean by making allies? Now that means making more friends and making less enemies. So what is new quality productive forces? In short, it means having a significant lead in technology. If you are losing on technology, you would be the loser. Now we have a lot of good fighter planes, and we have submarines. We have the Liaoning and Fujian carriers, and we have Fuxing, and we have electric vehicles, and we have wind turbines, and we have 5G. Huawei has been the leader in the area. Now, Mr. Michael Look also said our national power grid is great. In this space, we have Tiangong, we have the Long March rockets. In Mars, we have Tianwen. So under the reform and opening up of the country, we have achieved glorious results. In 2023, we won the war against absolute poverty. Now what's next? Today is the 30th of May 2024. This is a special day. It is the day when we are debating on new quality productive forces. Now, what does this term mean? It is in line with the 2025 Made in China year. Now, in that year, we will set up Chinese standards. After British standards and American standards, and now we have Chinese standards and Made in China. This is our brand. A pledge in quality and productivity. Now, with the lead in productivity, we won't be on the losing side. Now, there are always people who said Hong Kong is losing out to Singapore. Yes, it seems that we are losing out on GDP and other aspects. So are we the losers? No, we are the winners. Now, in the latest budget, I put a question to government. We have too many civil servants. The civil service is too bulky. It undermines our agility. Now we need to cut down on expenditure if we can't create more revenues. Now in terms of cutting expenditure, we need to only keep the elites. For those users, people, you don't have to keep them. Kick them out. Let them know what it is all about. So in terms of new quality productive forces, I would like to focus on the administrative framework. We can't have too many superfluous civil servants. We can't just add more heads to the civil service, to the establishments, but not remove those who are performing poorly. So we need to be bold in reforming the civil service. Thank you. Mr. Jimmy. Thank you, Deputy President. During the II session this year, President Xi stressed that we must focus on the major tasks of developing new quality productive forces at a faster pace with local context. Now we must give regard to our research capacity and our own characteristics and selectively pursue growth in new quality productive forces. We need to adopt new technology to transform our traditional industries and pursue green and smart developments. Now, to integrate with the national strategy, we must pick up pace in developing this productive force. Now, I stress the word new. The industries must be wise in selecting the areas to pursue growth. On the other hand, the government must allocate resources selectively and pursue precise development. Now, a year ago, we have the new I&T development blueprint. It sought enhancements for our I&T ecosystem and drive collaborative growth in the up and middle stream. Now, we have seen much results in the industry, but we must admit the third economic transformation driven by technology is not happening in Hong Kong. Why? Because we are too slow. Now we need collaborative developments along the supply chain, the industry chain. We need in-depth collaboration and integration. Now in recent years, mainland cities in the GBA like Shenzhen, the government offered a lot of dedicated measures to drive astonishing growth in I&T. Now to catch up with the speed in GBA, we must be faster in launching new measures and offering support. Now, in terms of land, we have a scarce land supply. There has been very limited land for I&T development. Now, we are catching up. We have the Northern Metropolis and we have the Sandton Technopole. We are establishing the new development layout of the South-North Geo Engine. This is all very exciting. However, the progress of many projects are not ideal, so we need to be faster. Now, the Northern Metropolis is being built at full speed, so the government should also pick up speed in promulgating the new industrialization blueprints to establish a highland in Hong Kong. Now, we need to ensure that prototypes produced in China, in the country, can be used in pilot testing in Hong Kong. It means a pilot production before mass production. Now we need to set up pilot production bases in Hong Kong to bridge the gap and ensure that the outcomes are translated into commodities. Lastly, we need to have the talents to support the bid. Now the government has been trawling for talents. The Top Talents Pass scheme was launched. Now according to the media report, some talents who were approved by the government said they couldn't find a job in Hong Kong. Now, it is because of the difference in the ecosystems. on both sides. Now, for some highly specialized positions, there is simply no such a job in Hong Kong. So we need to enhance the matching mechanism to ensure that there is no mismatch of resources. Now we need to provide adequate support for these talents to work and stay in Hong Kong. Now with more talents, we can pool talents as well as capital. Now when foreign investors see potential for profits, they will come. Now with more capital, we can develop new quality productive forces faster. I so submit and support the motion and the amendments. Mr. Robert Lee. Thank you, Deputy President. The term new quality productive forces has become widely known after the two sessions. This is a buzzword in the community. So the background of this term is that our country is now strong enough to advocate this idea. Now, after reform and opening up, our country was doing poorly in terms of economy and culture as well as technology. Now, since the country has won the war against poverty, it has the confidence to pursue high-quality development as a second centenary goal. Now, to do this, we need new quality productive forces. Our country has been vociferously advocating for new quality productive forces because it is already the second largest economy in the world. In the past, the country was only rich in labor. There was a lot of labor-intensive jobs. Now the country is using robotics, big data, and AI to cut production time. The country is now producing products at a faster pace and at a cheaper cost than others. Now, there are other countries accusing the country of exporting its surplus capacity and overly subsidizing others. That's not the case. It's because the technologies used by our country is several generations more advanced than others. Now, 60% of our country's vehicles are electric. Everyone is able to see the joy in driving EVs. On the other hand, it brings about significant improvements to the environment. This is game-changing. It ensures that the country can realize the goal of 2030 carbon neutrality. Now, the country is putting the people first. Every move it makes is people-centric. President Xi has been saying last year that we need to pursue new energy and new manufacturing. This year, he is advocating for using new technologies to transform conventional industries. He has not forgotten about the old industries. Now, in terms of e-commerce, we are now at e-commerce 3.0. From e-commerce platform to KOL-driven e-commerce, e-commerce has now become an important component in the internal circulation of the country's economy. Now, we have these strengths in terms of talents and capital. How can we contribute to the country's drive with one country, two systems, and our international financial center status? A lot of people are saying that Hong Kong must catch up. Yes, in some areas we must, but I think the Secretary would agree with me that we are already making good use of our land and introducing foreign capital to forge a new path. But let's not forget, our most important asset is talent. How can we give play to our position as a melting pot between East and West and pool talent? Now, our universities are world-renowned. How can we contribute to the country's drive to reinvigorate the country with science and education? How can we enrich the country's talent reserve with our education system? Now, the government can collaborate with the top 100 enterprises in the country. Graduates from Hong Kong can be given internship opportunities in the mainland. Now, we have the strengths of being backed by the country and being connected with the world. We have strengths in terms of legal system, talents, and financial system. With these strengths, we can contribute to the growth in the GPA and bring research outcomes from the mainland and Hong Kong's manufactured products to the world.
Time is up. Mr. Yu Pat-leung. Deputy President, I speak in support of the motion and amendments. President Xi first raised the subject of new quality productive forces last year, and it has been set as a priority of the government work report this year. Drones, big data, new energy vehicles, and so on have great potential. We need to seize the opportunities brought about by the development of new quality productive forces. Tourism industry is no exception. We can see that the needs of tourists have changed. We should keep pace with the changes. As Director LEUNG said, we should be innovative and improve the quality of services so that Hong Kong can remain a world-class tourist destination. I said before that there should be deep integration of culture, sports, and tourism. We should have innovative tourism and characteristic tourism productions. I want to now talk about low-altitude tourism and exploration of the sea. I first want to make sure we should have new technologies for low-altitude transport as well as exploration of the shallow seas. With the development of the country's low-altitude economy, we have many different low-altitude transport options. We have eVTOL means of transport that can fly from Shekou to Zhuhai. What used to happen only in the movies now becomes reality. And it is said in 2024-26, and it is expected by 2026 we will have $300 million of revenue from low-altitude economy. It is said before in a motion debate in relation to low-altitude economy, it is said by the administration that the relevant bureaus and departments will keep in close view the situation. I do appreciate the government taking that stance, but I hope the government will take action. Recently, Ms. Elizabeth Court and I have taken an aerial transport that can be made use of in tourism. We can make use of that to get closer to the natural sites and the structures in the geological park. This will definitely be attractive to tourists. I now want to talk about exploration of the shallow seas. Hong Kong has a great ecological system. We have 84 species of hard corals, soft corals, and 50-odd species of soft corals. These are very attractive to ocean enthusiasts. We should have submarines in Hong Kong so that tourists can explore the shallow seas of Hong Kong. this can be a big part of blue travel. Many stakeholders I know have expressed interest, but for these different options for low altitude transport and exploration of shallow seas, we need a regulatory framework to be put in place. So I urge the administration to expedite the introduction of such options and iron out any potential issues with stakeholders. I so submit, President. Mr. Lam Sang-kang. Many members have spoken on the topic, and I find that there is no need to talk about the definition because of that. We need to enhance productivity in order to enhance competitiveness of enterprises. On 27th of May, it is said by the Political Bureau that we should make reference to local conditions when accelerating the development of new quality productive forces. Since we already know that the country is taking this new direction, we should leverage on our advantages to make contributions. We should seize the opportunities to help propel us even further into prosperity. But we should be flexible with our promotion of our advantages so as to better seize the opportunities. Talents are very important with the development of INT, and many talents have conveyed to me that they love Hong Kong more than any other place in the world. They consider Hong Kong to be very attractive and they want to make Hong Kong home. Hong Kong as an international city can attract many talents to make contributions to the country. But right now, there are some clearance arrangements that would impede talents from going to the mainland. In turn, the flow of talents has been impeded and we are not as attractive to talents as we should have been. So I ask the administration to make it more convenient for talents to go into the mainland. So I ask first the administration to make it easier for talents to be admitted to Hong Kong and make it easier for them to become residents and potentially waive the 7-year requirement for one to become a Hong Kong permanent resident. In order to help products go global, we need to ensure the standards are complied with, and we would need labs to verify the products that comply with the relevant standards. I believe Hong Kong can make contributions in this regard. Hong Kong's professional services, in particular legal practitioners, can also make contributions to help mainland enterprises to go global. So I suggest the administration should not only advertise Hong Kong as a center for international mediation and arbitration. We have various forms of legal services that we can provide to mainland enterprises. We also have the $10 billion Race Plus scheme that can expedite the realization of R&D outcomes. I have 2 suggestions in this regard. We should first relax the legal restrictions for INT development. Drones actually were first invented in Hong Kong, but we are now lagging behind in the progress. So I ask the administration to put in place a regulatory framework as soon as possible to release the relevant INT potential. 2, in relation to procurement, I can see that the government at the moment only procures from foreign companies outdated technologies. We have local companies that have really advanced technologies. We should procure from local companies. Thank you.
Mr. Gary Chen, you may now speak on the amendments. Thank you, President. I thank the 7 members for raising amendments in relation to my original motion. Dr. Johnny Ng, Professor William Wong, and other members mentioned in their amendments how we can further explore the transformation of R&D outcomes. New quality productive forces is not just about discovering new industries and bringing in new growth engines. It's also about how we can allow ourselves to dovetail with the advantages that the GBA enjoys. This is an important model as we promote new productive forces. We have to empower traditional industries and we have to steer ourselves towards smart development. We have to achieve high quality development, smart development, and this type of transformation. I've been calling for the government to help enterprises and organizations transform themselves by offering policy support. There should be removal of barriers and restrictions. Mr. Shang Hailong and Mr. Dennis Leung in their amendments stressed the importance of talents. Mr. Shang said we should promote the innovative spirit of entrepreneurs. Mr. Dennis Leung stressed that we should seize the opportunities to create more quality employment opportunities. I agree with both of these members. This is because entrepreneurs are facilitators, leaders in terms of promoting productive forces. They have acumen in detecting the advantages in the market. In this process, we can grow our pie bigger and then we can create more supply chains and quality job opportunities. Mr. Yim Kong and Dr. Tan Yueheng mentioned in their amendments to speed up the development of the northern metropolis. We have to develop INT in order to foster new productive forces. As mentioned in my opening speech, we have to develop the loop. We have to speed up our dovetailing of our systems with the GBA so that we can make use of the different advantages of the GBA so that we can bring in local and overseas enterprises so that we can inject impetus for further development of Hong Kong. We should explore with the government a new path for promoting new quality productive forces. I so submit.
Undersecretary for Commerce and Economic Development. President, I would like to thank Mr. Chen Hak-kan for moving the motion, the 7 members for proposing amendments, and the 34 other members for putting forward their valuable views. I will now talk about some work of the CEDB. Apart from expanding Hong Kong's traditional and real economic activities, we will also actively promote innovative thinking to consolidate and enhance Hong Kong's position as an international trade center, and thereby helping accelerate the formation of development new quality productive forces. That would include promoting cross-border e-commerce, developing a regional IP trading center, and developing a multinational supply chain management center. 5G technology would provide strong support for accelerating the formation of new quality productive forces. Expanding network coverage of 5G will be an important direction. We are implementing a series of initiatives announced in the 2023 policy address, including increasing the capacity of 5G networks in venues for large-scale public events, making available a total of 510 MHz of frequency spectrum for auction, and encouraging network operators to build 5G base stations in rural and remote areas through a funding scheme. On promoting cross-border e-commerce, e-commerce provides consumers with a new way to shop. At the same time, it provides enterprises with a bigger market and more room for development. We will step up efforts to promote development of cross-boundary e-commerce. We will first focus on expanding into the mainland domestic market. As a next step, we will explore the possibility of capitalizing on Hong Kong's established strengths in export and transshipment, supporting enterprises to develop overseas markets through e-commerce, leveraging on Hong Kong's role as a gateway between the mainland and the international market, and help mainland brands go global. On developing a regional IP trading center, IP trade activities enable the efficient flow and rational allocation of innovative resources in the market, which not only enhances the efficiency of resource utilization, but also accelerates the growth of new quality productive forces. The government will continue to capitalize on Hong Kong's strengths in law, taxation, and professional services by consolidating and upgrading Hong Kong's IP protection regime and facilitating the management, commercialization, and trading of IPs. Hong Kong's high-value added part of the entire I&D industrial chain will flourish, adding momentum to the development of new quality productive forces. On the development of silver economy, not only will it provide for a better livelihood for elderly persons, this also will conform to the direction of developing new quality productive forces. We also tie in with the national strategy. We can develop silver economy in a new model to create more impetus for growth of Hong Kong's economy. On developing a multinational supply chain management center, we will strive to develop Hong Kong into such center to promote the upgrading of the supply chain and the industrial chain so as to support the overseas business needs of mainland enterprises. To attract mainland manufacturing enterprises to set up operations in Hong Kong, the CEDB is coordinating with other Team Hong Kong organizations to strengthen the support network, including the setting up of a single window to provide one-stop services to enterprises to facilitate their setting up of operations in Hong Kong, and to cope with the trend of extending the industrial chains of mainland manufacturing enterprises overseas. We are capable of providing comprehensive support to mainland enterprises to create higher value for their business. We believe through the above efforts, we will be able to create more room for development and core support for the development of new quality productive forces. President, I so submit.
Undersecretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Undersecretary for Transport and Logistics. President, I thank Mr. Gary Chen for raising this motion. I'd also like to thank Dr. Johnny Ng, Professor William Wong, Mr. Sunny Tan, Mr. Tan Yueheng, Mr. Hailong, Mr. Yim Kong, and Mr. Dennis LEUNG for their amendments. I also thank the 40-some members for their speeches. They put forward valuable views on how Hong Kong should seize the opportunities of accelerating the development of new quality productive forces in the country. I now respond to the views that concern the Transport and Logistics Bureau. The trading and logistics industry is one of the four pillars of Hong Kong's economy. It's the greatest contributor, provides many job opportunities, and has always been an important component of our real economy. In 2022, the trading and logistics sector engaged over 590,000 people, accounting for 22.5% of our GDP. With its free port status, a comprehensive air, land, and sea transport network, and world-class transportation infrastructure, Hong Kong has been an important international logistics hub in the region. In the 14th Five-Year Plan, the central government has clearly affirmed Hong Kong's positioning as an international aviation hub and international shipping center. In recent years, the global economic and trade landscape has undergone significant changes. The geopolitical situation, global economy, and competition from cities in the region have all posed challenges to the development of Hong Kong's logistic industry. If we don't forge ahead, we fall behind. Therefore, we must continue to promote the sustainable development of the logistics logistics industry to maintain Hong Kong's leading edge in the logistics sector. New quality productive forces point the way for the future development of our logistics industry. Fostering new quality productive forces is about promoting high-quality development through technological innovation, and green development is intrinsic to it. In its action plan for modern logistics development, the government advocates smart development as well as green and sustainability as we promote the development of our logistics industry. So the above two concepts align with each other. In order to promote the upgrading and transformation of the logistics industry through technological innovation and to move towards the development of smart logistics to promote new productive forces, the government will step up its support for the logistics sector to undergo digital transformation and use smart logistics solutions. In January this year, the government set up, under the Maritime and Aviation Training Fund, the Professional Training on Smart and Green Logistics Scheme. Since February the 1st, the funding ceiling and the scope of funding for the pilot subsidy scheme for third-party logistics service providers have been enhanced. Also, we'll study how to link up different logistics information platforms to enhance the competitiveness of Hong Kong's logistics industry. Green development underlies the formation and development of new productive forces. The government strongly supports the green and sustainable development of our logistics sector. For this reason, we will, through the Hong Kong Logistics Development Council, join hands with the industry to formulate a clear roadmap for green and sustainable logistics development with concrete commitments for implementation to better equip the logistics industry to capitalize on the opportunities arising from green logistics. Meanwhile, the government has launched the Professional Training on Smart and Green Logistics Scheme, as mentioned above, to subsidize logistics associations and training institutions to organize local training courses on modern, smart, and green logistics. We hope that green logistics can help materialize the concept of development and contribute to the formation of new quality productive forces. The government supports the development of low-altitude economy, and we keep an open mind to the rapid development and wide application of various advanced air mobility or AAM technologies. The government welcomes any practical and feasible proposals from the industry. The industry may conduct test flights within the existing low-altitude airspace subject to the compliance of different technical and safety considerations. In view of the development potential of the low-altitude economy, the relevant bureaus and departments of the government are actively exploring suitable low-altitude activities under their respective policy portfolios. The government will keep a close eye on the development of AAM in the mainland and other regions and make timely deployment having regard to Hong Kong's actual situation, laws and regulations, market demand, and the commercial considerations of potential service operators. In conclusion, transportation and logistics are integral to the supply chain. The Transport and Logistics Bureau will spare no efforts in developing the modern logistics industry, which will contribute to the development of new productive forces. President, I thank again all the members who have spoken. The government will carefully consider the suggestions made by various stakeholders to leverage Hong Kong's strengths and serve the needs of the country to live up to our country's high expectations on us. President, I so submit.
Secretary for Information Technology and Industry. President, once again I thank Mr. Gary Chan for moving the motion, and I also thank Dr. Johnny Ng, Professor Wong Kam Fei, Mr. Sunny Tang, Dr. Tan Yueheng, Mr. Shang Hailong, Yim Kong, and Dennis LEUNG for their amendments. I also thank the 34 members for their speeches. They gave valuable opinions on how Hong Kong can tap the opportunities of the country's accelerated development of new quality productive forces. Just now, the two under-secretaries have already responded to members' views under their own policy portfolios. Now, in relation to the portfolio of the ITIB, and in consultation with the FSTB, I will now give a consolidated reply and make a summary. Hong Kong must develop new quality productive forces with regard to our local characteristics and continue to enhance research on original technologies, as well as applying research outcomes on the development of industries, promoting new industrialization. This would give rise to a new real economy with Hong Kong advantages. Now, some members said the goal must be for enhancing the living quality of the grassroots people. We must embrace changes in developing our I&T industry. We must not lose out on this game-changing opportunity. In fact, developing new quality productive forces with a local context means combining advanced productivity with local strengths. That is why the I&T development blueprint focuses on strategic industries like life and health technology, AI and data science, advanced manufacturing, and new energy technology. In the second half of this year, we are going to launch the $3 billion new industrialization acceleration scheme in introducing world-renowned scientists to come to Hong Kong. At the same time, we're going to establish more infrastructure to support the research of frontier technologies. Now, the acceleration scheme will provide matching subsidies for strategic enterprises to set up smart production facilities in Hong Kong. At the same time, we are enhancing the new industrialization subsidy schemes to enhance support for the transformation towards smart production of local manufacturers. Now, in terms of life and health science, the government has dedicated significant resources to its development. For example, under the Inno-Hong Kong Research Cluster, there are 16 research centers in relation to life and health technologies. Also, the Health at Inno-Hong Kong is going to be commissioned to promote commercialization of results. In terms of AI, the Cyberport is actively preparing for the construction of the AI Supercomputing Center to support the significant computational demand of the relevant industries. The first phase of the Supercomputing Center will be commissioned in the second half of this year. At the same time, we are implementing the AI subsidy scheme for local universities, research institutes, and corporations to harness the supercomputing power as Cyberport. On advanced manufacturing and new energy technology, the Hong Kong Microelectronics R&D Center, to be launched this year, will lead various sectors to research on third-generation semiconductor and promotes the R&D outcomes transformation from 1 to N. We are now striving to establish pilot-scale production lines. Now, the new Industrialization Development Office will formulate measures to support our smart production industries. Now, supporting startups is also very important. We endeavor to enrich supporting services for startups, as well as provide them with more venture capital financing channels. We are bringing in overseas accelerators as well as venture investors to set up shop in Hong Kong. We encourage high-level collaboration between the government, industries, the academia, research, and investors so that we can promote growth. To pursue high-quality development in society and economy, digitalization is the trend. Over the years, we have launched a series of measures to promote digitalization in Hong Kong. This includes establishing the Digital Policy Office to steer government departments and the private sector to establish digital and smart city development. In the future, we will consider giving more power to the Digital Policy Office in steering digital development in Hong Kong. One country, two systems is the cornerstone of our stability and prosperity. We have the unique strengths of being backed by the country and connected with the world. We are highly internationalized, and we are the bridge between the mainland and the world. We will actively attract investments and talents. We will entice key enterprises to set up in Hong Kong from overseas and the country. We will become the springboard for mainland enterprises, and we will serve as the super connector and super value adder for the country. Now, we are trawling for talents and businesses. So besides attracting businesses, we are also adopting a multi-pronged approach in enlarging our talent pool. The core elements in pursuing new quality productive forces is talents, or in other words, workers. We attach importance to nurturing local talents as well. We encourage graduates from Hong Kong and overseas to join the I&T industry in Hong Kong. For example, we have the tech talent admission schemes. Now we are going to strengthen the tech tasks to ensure that there are more targeted measures to entice technology talents from the mainland and overseas to come to Hong Kong to conduct research. In the future, through collaboration platforms like Hetao, Qianhai, and Nanxia, we are going to strengthen I&T collaboration with mainland cities. We will speed up the development of the Hong Kong Park of Hetao so as to contribute to the country. The Shanghai Technopole in the northern metropolis is adjacent to Futian and Huanggang in Shenzhen. Its strategic I&T positioning gives it vast potential to establish a I&T cluster. By creating synergy with Shenzhen, we can implement the South-North geo-engine layout. Now, to tap the opportunity brought about by the country's accelerated development of new quality productive forces, besides encouraging transformation of industries, we must also ensure that industries like financial services, trade and commerce, professional services, and logistics are staying modern. That's why promoting the development of new quality productive forces is the job for all policy bureaus. Now, in terms of financial services, the FSTB will speed up. We expand the depth and breadth of Hong Kong's status as an international financial center. Technology development requires the support of capital. In March, the Hong Kong Stock Exchange implemented the listing regime of specialist technology companies. It offers a new financing channel for tech companies in the fields of IT, advanced hardware and software, advanced materials, new energy, and new agricultural technology. Now, in January, the HKEX has revamped JAM and introduced a new capitalization test for SMEs heavily engaged in R&D activities. It will complement the listing regime of the biotech and specialist technology companies on the main board. With these reforms, we can give better financial support for new quality productive forces stakeholders. Now, in terms of trade, commerce, and professional services, just now the Undersecretary has explained the CETB's work on e-commerce, cross-boundary supply chain management, and IP protection. These are positive actions on our development of new quality productive forces. Now, in terms of transport and logistics, as mentioned by the Undersecretary, in last October, we have promulgated the Action Plan on Modern Logistics Development. It will accelerate the smart transformation of the modern logistics industry in Hong Kong. It will become a major pillar of Hong Kong's high-quality development. Members, under one country, two systems, let's take the full potential of the national policy of developing new quality productive forces. Let's make I&T and new quality productive forces our new growth engine. And this is also the new focal point of the development of the entire GBA. President, once again, I thank every member for their speech. The government will carefully consider the recommendations made by stakeholders and give play to our strengths and meet the country's need. I so submit.
I now call upon Dr. Johnny Ng to move an amendment. President, I move my amendment. I propose the question to you that Dr. Johnny Ng's amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Professor William Wong, as the previous amendment has been passed, you may move your further amendment. President, I move my further amendment. I propose the question to you that Professor William Wong's further amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Mr. Sonny Tan, as the previous amendments have been passed, you may move your further amendment. President, I move my further amendment. I propose the question to you that Mr. Sonny Tan's further amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Mr. Hailong, as the previous amendments have been passed, you may move your further amendment. President, I move my further amendment. I propose the question to you that Mr. Hailong's further amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Mr. Dennis LEUNG, as the previous amendments have been passed, you may move your further amendment. President, I move my further amendment. I propose the question to you that Mr. Dennis LEUNG's further amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Dr. Tan Yueheng, as the previous amendments have been passed, you may move your further amendment. President, I move my further amendment. I propose the question to you that Dr. Tan Yueheng's further amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Mr. Yueheng, as the previous amendments have been passed, you may move your further amendment. President, I move my further amendment. I propose the question to you that Mr. Yueheng's further amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Mr. Gary Chen, you still have 34 seconds to reply, then the debate will come to a close. Mr. Gary Chen. Thank you, President. Almost 40 members have spoken on this topic. I believe all of you have different views and suggestions on new productive forces. However, we have reached a consensus that we have to walk the path of promoting new productive forces. I hope we can all transform these suggestions into concrete policies so that we can move from stability to prosperity. Thank you. I now put the question to you that Mr. Gary Chan's motion, as amended by Dr. Johnny Professor William Wong, Mr. Sonny Tan, Mr. Hailong, Mr. Dennis LEUNG, Dr. Tan Yueheng, and Mr. Yueheng be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the motion as amended passed. I now adjourn the Council until 11 a.m. on Wednesday, the 5th of June 2024.